I'm convinced that one of the primary tasks of the intercessor or spiritual warrior is to be able to discern the times, to be able to discern what God is doing in the world, how God is advancing his kingdom, but also to be able to discern what Satan is doing in the world. This gift of discerning the times comes from the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, who opens your spiritual eyes to be able to see into the supernatural realm. But also, discerning the times comes from the ability to astutely analyze the present circumstances, to look back at history, to see trends in history, and to be able to, through that analysis, discern then what God is doing and what Satan is doing. Well, I have been very much engaged in this work of discerning the times for the last 20 years, and I'm convinced that this present time that we're in is what I would like to call the gathering storm. Now, I'm basing that on what Sir Winston Churchill said of the 1930s in his great series on World War II. He starts off the very first volume entitled The Gathering Storm as he describes the growth of a terrible stronghold of evil that was centered around Adolf Hitler. It formed the culture, the military machinery, the political expression, everything of Nazism. And the 30s was a time when, for those who could discern the times, they saw this growing evil of Nazism. And despite warning after warning from Winston Churchill and others as well, this stronghold was allowed to grow to its terrible fruition and unleashed terrible evil on the world. Well, there are just a few people who could see this gathering stronghold, or the gathering storm of this terrible stronghold of Nazism. It was Winston Churchill and people like Rees Howells. Well, I'm convinced that we are at a time of another gathering storm. And this time, it is not Nazism or communism, but rather it is the growing stronghold of radical Islam. And this stronghold that Satan is building of radical Islam is being built really to accomplish almost the identical purposes that Satan had for the stronghold of Nazism, but which was defeated by the combined forces of Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union with the terrible cost of World War II. Well, I'm convinced that we are at a very similar time in history. In fact, if you go listen to a lot of people, writers, historians, military historians like Victor Davis Hanson, Newt Gingrich, others who are observing the state of our world, what's going on, they're all saying that we are in a terrible time, or a time of the gathering storm, and are warning the world about this growing power of radical Islam. Well, as we discern the times, I'm convinced that this is the battle that we face. And I'm going to talk in the next video about what the purpose is of this war that's been declared upon us. But all the signs is that Satan is, just like in the 30s, is gathering his forces of evil again in order to unleash death, genocide, subjugation, and all the horrors of Satan's plans upon the world. Well, God also has a plan. And that plan is, I'm convinced, is God is sending waves of the Holy Spirit in order to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ into the world, including the Muslim world. And also, God is at work to defeat these strongholds that are growing surrounding radical Islam. And God is calling us as intercessors to join the battle and to be a part of preventing this present gathering storm from reaching its terrible fruition and unleashing a tsunami of evil on the earth. And the way I'm convinced that not only are we at the time of the gathering storm, as in the 30s, but God is also raising up intercessors just as he did in the 30s as well. And we look back to that era, and it was Winston Churchill one, but it was also Rhys Howes and this little group of students at the Bible College of Wales whom God called to be the vanguard of the intercessory prayer battle to prevent, is the way he called Winston Churchill, to be a part of preventing the political and military expression of this stronghold. But he called Rhys Howes and the Bible College of Wales students, but also many, many others in England, Canada, United States, worldwide, to join in the prayer battle to prevent this terrible evil of Nazism. Well, likewise, we're in a very similar time of both the gathering storm of strongholds reaching maturity, of radical Islam especially, growing in power, but we're also seeing a time where God is stirring up a great worldwide move of the Holy Spirit to raise up intercessors to be a part of blocking the full expression of this stronghold of radical Islam. He is also raising up political and military leaders to also be a part of this great battle that we're in. So, people, we need to take very seriously where we are right now. And I invite you to ask the Lord to show you, give you the gifts of discerning the times, and do the research needed, listen carefully, and then ask the Lord if he's not calling you to be a part of this intercessory prayer work that's needed in this critical hour.